healing, right? Children are so susceptible. So children in abusive households will grow up with that as their framework of reality. So we always say hurt people. So yes, you can always link back abuse to something that has happened, but in general, like I said, it doesn't discriminate. So you will have someone call from Alex and someone call from Xanton with similar situations. There's domestic violence in the house, or whether you're a CEO or whether you're like one of the pick it up guys. So like there's no discrimination that way. Gender-based violence is universal across the board that way.
Hello, I'm Mara, the founder of Tears. Thank you for landing on our page today. We hope that this will be a place where you get the help that you need to recover. Thousands of women a day are raped and abused in our country and don't know where to turn to for help. We want to help you. I'm a survivor of abuse and I know how lonely it is out there. Call us so that we can help you, because together we can solve the problem.
If you or someone you know has been raped or abused, call Tears Foundation. Dial *134 *7355# or call 010 590 5920.
Tears Foundation supports rape and abuse survivors. If you or someone you know have been raped or abused, contact our toll-free helpline on *134 *7355# or visit our website. Tears, bringing hope and healing to our society. Get help now. Dial *134 *7355#.
So, just please give us your name. Firstly, thank you for having us. We appreciate your time. Give us your name, please, and your position in the organization.
Okay, so thank you for having me. My name is Kavya Swaminathan. I am the Interventions Supervisor at Tears Foundation.
So what does that mean? What does that entail? What's your daily routine?
No stress. So Tears Foundation, we are an information we provide an information-based service. So my team and I are the ones behind the phones, the emails, the WhatsApps. So we can go. Okay. So we're the ones directly liaising with clients. So when someone has an issue that they need more information of, if something has happened and they need assistance, we are the ones answering the 24-hour line or responding to the WhatsApps, the emails. That's what we do, my team and I.
So basically, people call in or send you messages when they're in distress?
Yes.
Explain to us how that goes.
So Tears Foundation tries to provide a very holistic and a very wide range of services or information relating to services around GBV and sexual abuse. So we can get a call from someone, for example, who has been like, you know what, I've never been able to sustain a relationship. Something happened when I was younger and I think that's why. So then we'd be like, okay, let's see what we can do to assist you. So in that case, it would be assisting with counseling, working through trauma, learning ways to cope and like navigate that. Sometimes people call us and they're like, I've just been raped over the weekend. Do I go to the police? Do I go to the hospital? I'm underage, I'm scared to tell my parents. So what's important to remember is that abuse is complicated and healing is unique. So it's no one solution fits all. So we have to listen to each individual client's needs, and what we do is we assist them to the best of our ability and to the necessity of their situation.
And when was Tears Foundation established?
So about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yes, so we're looking at 10 years. So we're just coming up on 10 years, or last year was 10 years, I think. Yeah.
And then what was the motivation behind it? What did you find that was so important that Tears Foundation was then established?
So Tears Foundation, our founder, her name is Mara Glenny, and she's a survivor of intimate partner violence. So she was in an abusive relationship with her husband. And Tears Foundation basically was birthed is that when she finally gained the courage to report her abuser, she walked into a police station on a Friday afternoon, and the police officers looked at her in the eye and said, "I'm really sorry, shifts change, the right people aren't here, can you please come back on Monday?" And that's really disheartening because leaving an abusive relationship, that first step is so important. How you were received kind of frames your experience of that. So she, to this day, 20 years later, has never gone to report that case, to report that man. Like, she's left and she's okay, she's done her healing. But in her healing journey, she realized that she wants to create something that she wanted for herself. So she wanted someone to be there to say, "I hear you, I'm listening, I want to help you, and I'm just here for you." And just provide you with the information and the support that you need.
And on a daily basis, you mentioned that you get phone calls, you get messages, and do you find that there's a particular gender that reports their cases more, or is it just equal? Is it men or women or age group that report their cases more?
So demographically, gender-based violence does not discriminate. So we will have people from across the board, whether despite race, nationality, all of that stuff. We do get predominantly women calling us, but that doesn't mean that men aren't victims of abuse, and we do get calls. And it's really interesting, sometimes we'll get men who've been like, "I have an abusive partner," or "My mom was abusive when I was a child," but we also get calls from abusers themselves. So sometimes we can get a call from a gent who is like, "I have this anger in me, and I know when I'm fighting with my girlfriend or my wife or my partner, that I'm scared that it'll become something more." So then we can intervene early. Or sometimes we get a call from someone who's like, "No matter what relationship I am, I hit her, and I don't know what's happening." So we assist anyone who calls us, no matter the situation. We take every call in good faith. We let the investigation, like if there's children involved or parents and all of that stuff, we let investigations happen in due course. But our main thing is we're listening to you, we believe you, and we're here to help you.
And you find that then, for instance, if someone calls and says, "I'm an abuser," do you then find yourself working with the law and saying, "This person called in and said, I've done this"?
So we can only work with the information that we give. So sometimes people will call us and be like, "I hit my girlfriend, she's not in a good space." So then we will assist both clients. But in that situation, we would separate the two. So we will assist his girlfriend or his partner to her needs, and then we will assist him to his needs. Sometimes that means breaking up. Sometimes they'll call and be like, "No, we want to work this together as a couple going forward." So it's like I said, it's very unique. But sometimes also you'll get someone who'll be like, "Look, I've hit every girlfriend I've ever been in a relationship with," or I fight with every girlfriend," or "I can feel myself wanting to hit her." There's no victim. I don't want to say that. There's no second person in that situation. Then it's just working on yourself to be a better person for whoever's there or whoever comes after.
And do you find that predominantly certain people from certain backgrounds are more abusive than others, or it's just a wide spectrum from everywhere?
So I will go with the wide spectrum, but it is important to know that how you grew up and what you see is what you emulate, right? Children are so susceptible. So children in abusive households will grow up with that as their framework of reality. So we always say hurt people hurt people. So yes, you can always link back abuse to something that has happened, but in general, like I said, it doesn't discriminate. So you will have someone call from Alex and someone call from Xanton with similar situations. There's domestic violence in the household, whether you're a CEO or whether you're like one of the pick it up guys. So like there's no discrimination that way. Gender-based violence is universal across the board that way.
And also, do you get feedback from the people that you have assisted? Has someone or people come back and said, "You did this and then this is how I feel now"?
So a big proponent of what Tears does is that we just don't provide you with service and be like, "Cool, do with
We're
it what you
done.
will. Yes, we have a very intricate and detailed follow-up system. So if we, for example, give you a call and we've referred you to X, Y, and Z, and you have an appointment or a schedule or whatever booked for like the 7th of something, we'll call you on the 8th or we'll call you on the 7th afternoon and be like, how did it go? And then we check in on you. So sometimes a file or a case or like a relationship with a client is really quick. They call, they want something, we send them a reference, it's working, and then they're done. But then sometimes it can take years. Sometimes you have to help someone leave an abusive relationship, get settled into a safe house. We assist them with the divorce proceedings. And like, so it can take a while. So like I said, everyone is unique and everyone's journey is unique. And our thing is that we're catering to your needs. Because a big thing when it comes to situations of gender-based violence, it's very easy to stand on the outside and say, why don't you just leave him? Or why don't you leave after he first hit you? Or like, just get over it, or it happened 10 years ago. But when that is your lived reality, you know what's best. Sometimes someone will call us and say, I need to leave, he is abusive. But the thing is, you can't just leave today. You have to plan for it, or you have to think of it. Sometimes there are children involved. Yes, because you have to leave in a way that's safe for you and everyone involved. If you have kids, if the partner, the one you're trying to leave, pays all the school fees, you can't just pull your kids out of a school. So stuff like that are things to, yes, and it's really hard because, like I said, it's so easy to sit on the outside and judge and give answers. Because if you're in a healthy, loving relationship where your partner listens to you, you'll be like, well, why don't you just talk to him? And like, it doesn't work that way.
Wow, yeah, it's important to listen. So you say that every case is different, every person is different, obviously. And so when we look at the people that work within your organization, do they need to have a special kind of, what's this word, training?
So most of our volunteers and our workers have some sort of psychological, social work or law background.
Okay.
So the psychology is because you learn that you have the psychological backing of understanding the trauma. It's difficult sometimes, it's thing. It just also gives you a fortified mind. Social work is because it's really good to have an overview of the resources that are available and like the intricacies of like the government system and the law behind it. And that's also for law basis. It's really good to have someone with the knowledge of how to look at a contract or like what a divorce entails or what your rights are. So that's the kind of background of the people who work in our organization. But honestly, we have volunteers who just want to help and have the capability and just come and like assist. So it's always it's a welcome thing in your background, but we will always find, we're always looking for assistance. There's always stuff for people to do.
So you have volunteers and then you have permanent employed staff as well.
Yes, we have employed staff as well.
Okay, so if someone wants to come and help, they can contact you.
Yes.
And then you'll evaluate and see.
Yes, so if you go to our website, we have our volunteer form there with all of our requirements and like work expectations, what should be required and stuff. So you're more than welcome to fill it out, come in. We love when people can volunteer and it's great. We get to know people, you get to learn something. So it's really nice that way as well.
And also, so you mentioned that, I'm sure it's like an emotional type of work. It could be a lot, it could be, I'm going to say draining for lack of a better word. And so how do you take care of yourselves as the workers here?
So one thing is our interventions team, so my team and I, we're very open. So we openly discuss cases, we discuss points, we talk about our cases, and we also have a keen understanding of each of our limits. So for example, sometimes some things hit closer to home, right? You might have a mom who doesn't really like working with kids' cases because you think of your own baby at home and you're like, you know what, that's really tough. Or you have some people, if you have elderly parents, you like cases with the elderly like really hits you because you're like, that could be my gran who was like raised me. So we're all aware of each other's limits. So if we have someone whose kids like really hit her hard and she gets like 3 cases with like kids really involved, within the next one she gets, she can be like, look, I honestly can't deal with this right now. So we help each other that way. We talk about our cases, and if you've had a really tough case, we always say, take that walk, take a breather, take a space, and we're all really respectful of downtime. And I think that compartmentalization, that leaving work at work is really important. It's harder for some people, it's easier for some people, but we all like work together. And I think it's really important we all have something outside of Tears to help us decompress. So like we have hobbies, whether it's yoga, whether it's hockey, whether it's photography. Everyone has their own thing. And we try to organize our schedules in such a way that everyone has space to do that. So we are a 24-hour service, so our lines are operational 24 hours, 7 days a week, Christmas, Easter, everything in between. So we work on a shift system. We might not be in offices 24/7 because it's unsafe for someone to be in an office park by themselves. Let's be real, we're all aware of where we stay in South African statistics.
You need to be careful.
So, but we work on a roster system, the calls get transferred, everyone handles it. And then, but like I said, we're respectful of time. Like we work in shifts, like you will have a weekend off and then you're in and then you have a weekend off. Because you need to breathe, because burnout is very real, not just in what we do and everything. You can have a desk job and work in big corporate, but burnout is really real. So prioritizing yourself is important.
Family as well. So I know that you receive calls and SMSs. Do you do like road shows? I'm going to call them road shows.
So awareness is a big thing.
Yes, that's the word.
We do. So we speak to corporates, whether it's regarding their businesses. School awareness is really big, so we love to talk at the schools because you know what, educating young is really important. So yes, we do a lot of awareness campaigns. Our projects run on awareness and education. That's one of our pillars.
And you find that then gender-based violence is getting worse as years go on, or is it just stable every year? It's the statistics are similar, or is it just getting worse?
So we refer to it like the cycle thing. So we know that certain times of the year there are higher rates. Like during public holidays, the same way we know crime increases in December because it gets colder, people are more desperate for money, less work, all of that stuff contributes. And that's the same kind of trends you can see in thing. We saw a great rise in cases of gender-based violence and sexual abuse during COVID. It was a really stressful time all around, whether it was just the sickness or the fact that survivors were left at home alone in lockdown with their perpetrators. And I think what was really eye-opening about COVID is that we always think that gender-based violence is something that happens to other people, and it is something that happens to people from others, like strangers, right? And COVID and the rise of cases really highlighted that it's people close to you. It's people with access to children. It's your partner. It's coming from the family. It's coming from the community. So that was really eye-opening. So it's a really sad situation.
And then the fact that everyone was stuck inside the house. So for instance, I'm working, my husband is working, so we're not in the house.
It's a high-stress environment. And it's also things like, there were things like the alcohol and the nicotine ban that just aggravated things. If you have someone who is dependent on alcohol, they take their aggression out on someone who's at home. Also, sad story is that people with alcoholic husbands, they would drink and pass out. Now without that, they're just angry and awake and I'm there.
Because it wasn't accessible.
Yes. So there were a lot of factors that kind of just compounded that during COVID.
And you find that mostly, you said that every case is individual. What leads to violence in a home? Is it substance abuse? Is it background? Is there a common thing that leads to violence?
So we talk about the cycle of abuse, right? And I mentioned earlier that hurt people hurt people. So that is one commonality. So we always say that there's a holistic look. You can't just say upbringing is what caused it or substance abuse is what caused it, because a lot of the times they're things that snowball. So if you have a child who has mom and dad who fight, or dad hits mom, or like mom hits kids, that child grows up with the idea that mom and dads fight. And how do you fight? You fight and you hit people. Or that child or girl child or boy child grows up and you're like, a parent needs hitting your kid to be disciplined. And that's what you're doing, is you're perpetuating that cycle. Because the thing is, if you don't know anything else, if you don't have the capabilities of broadening your horizons and your knowledge, that's going to be your little bubble. It's why, and that's the reason we prioritize education. Because unless someone comes and tells you there's something else and just shows you all of your options, you're never going to know. Yes.
So, as you speak about hitting children as well, I'm just thinking of my background, just me. I'm not saying South Africa. But when we grew up, we were hit. Even at school.
Yes.
The teachers would hit us. You were late and you were hit. You were given 3 stripes or whatever. And that was normal to us to say, if you discipline a child, you must hit them. And then they will listen. So do you find that then perpetuates violence? Or is it really normal? Is it just fine? It's just...
Yeah. So the thing is, you have to remember that times are always changing.
Yeah.
So what's okay now was not, or what was okay 25 years ago is not really okay now, right? And the thing is, we're always evolving, we're learning, and we're trying to be better. And that's what we have to look through. So we have to work through our system. So I think like the ban of corporal punishment, or like the criminalization of corporal punishment is something that we evolved past that, right? So it's stuff like that.
It's just we are evolving. Maybe it helped then. But
yes, no, but that's the thing. But that so much of that frames you, right? You become scared of things, or you get scared of authority. So now you'll see like people talk about different ways to parent now, like gentle parenting and like soft discipline. And there's research to back it up. But the thing is, there's options, right? You have to work with what works for you. Sometimes you just have a really messy kid that needs a smack on the bum. I'm not saying teach your kid that completely, but like you have to find ways. You have to find ways. I'm not saying one is more correct than the other, but one is a little like don't beat your kids, guys.
You must just think.
Yes, so it's things like that. But like that was the normal. I mean, for so long,
it was
just
normal.
Didn't believe that women deserved rights. We couldn't vote. Women couldn't work with, like the only reason women were allowed to wear pants and work in America is because of World War II. So like, and that's only because men disappeared, and then men came back and they expected women to go home, and then they were surprised women were upset about that. So it's things like that. So there's this change revolution coming, and it comes in cycles, but we have to work within that. So it takes one educated person to stand up and spread that. And that's what we all work towards, educating people about pregnancy, about sexual abuse, about consent, about your rights as a woman.
And you
or your
find
limitations
that,
as a man.
Yeah, everyone has rights to live, like we're all human, and be happy and be at peace. And you find that with concerning young women, do you get a lot of reports concerning pregnancy because of rape and violence and how young have you received reports from a young woman saying that I'm pregnant because of this?
Horrible cases. Like we can get kids as young as 10 and 11 calling us from really horrible situations. So young girls do call, and that is a reality that we exist with. And the thing is, when it comes from rape and abuse, and when you're that young, you don't really know what your period is. It's not stable. If it goes missing for a few months, you don't know that you're pregnant. You don't know that what happened to you was someone taking advantage of your rights. So yeah, it's a really big problem. And it's something that we like to address, actually, an increase in the amount of baby dumping. So what Tears does is that we have to create really close relationships with other NPOs and organizations in order to provide the services we provide. And one of the relationships we have is with police officers. So there are special units of the police called the FCS units, and they're the ones who deal with crimes related to sex and domestic violence and children. And one of the captains or colonels that we work very closely with came to us and said there have been an increased amount of baby dumpings in Alex. That's the area that he services. And it's just right by us. That's why we work so closely with him. They found that babies were being dumped in like black trash bags. And the pick it up people, or like the people who collect for recycling, they were finding babies. And he came to us and being like, is this something we can address? And that is what we did. So we, as Tears Foundation, provide something we refer to as comfort bags for victims of rape. Because when you go to a police station to report a case, you oftentimes have to surrender everything that you're wearing, because DNA and evidence. So we make these little comfort bags that have an extra pair of clothes, some new underwear, hygiene products like pads and toothbrushes, just so you can get clean. Because I know your first instinct when someone has violated you to that is to wash it all off. But you need that. It's evidence to further your case. So that little startup bag is just something, so you have something to change to, so you can brush your teeth, so you can feel a bit thing. I know in other countries and stuff they refer to it like dignity bags and stuff like that, but we wanted to provide some comfort. There's also like a journal, so you can make notes, you can like start your healing journey. So he came to us with this problem of these babies being dumped, so we expanded that idea. Because one thing he said to us is that DSD, which is our Department of Social Development, is where our social workers are based, sometimes can take 48 hours to respond to a dumped baby. So him and his staff were taking these babies home, but not all of them have wives, or they don't all have babies at home. So we started making little baby rescue bags. So it has everything needed to sustain a little life for 2 days.
Milk,
so yes, so it has diapers, growers, nappies, all of that stuff, bum cream, all of that stuff, so the baby can be comfortable and changed for 2 days until DSD can get to her. So because you were mentioning teen pregnancy, and the reason and what we did is that we traced back to where this is coming from, right? And that's what we noted, the increased trend of teen pregnancies. And what happens with that is a lack of information regarding that. So we furthered that. So this all kind of snowballed into a bigger project. So I know we spoke about getting calls and SMSs, but a big proponent of Tears is we have an emergency number. It's like 911. So we're
what is that number?
Yeah. So it's *134 *7355#. We'll obviously give you all the details so you can put stuff everywhere.
Please.
So the big thing about that number is that it at the time it had two main services. So the first service is actually how Tears started, is Mara creating her database that we spoke about and creating this resource system, is that it connects you with your 3 nearest relevant services to you. So it's usually your nearest police station, your nearest hospital or like clinic, and then some sort of mental health related organization, whether it's a place where you can get counseling or like services like that. So it's like a bit holistic. And then we partnered with a company called Namola a few years later, and we expanded that service. So now we have an emergency system. So you could literally dial the number and you can select that you are in a life-threatening situation.
So it gives you options.
Yes, so the first option is number 1, and it's the 3 nearest relevant services. Then option 2 was you fill out like where you are located, and then you can have an option of, are you in a life-threatening situation? If you say yes, someone will call you within seconds to assist you, and they will be able to get an ambulance to you, they can get police to you. If your life-threatening situation is you're locked out of your apartment and you have no way to get in and it's dark and you're lonely and there's like gunshots going off, they will help you find a locksmith even. So it's really holistic, it's really great, and they try to attend to you the same way we try to attend to you. And not only do they do that emergency call, we also get reports of everyone who's dialed the number, so we can then also call and follow up
and find out what's happening.
So what we've done is we've expanded that existing USSD service. So the most important thing about this line is completely free of charge. No cash anyway. So don't worry. You don't even.
I never have airtime.
You don't need airtime. You just need the signal in order for it to go through. That's the only thing you need. So we've expanded that and we've created a Speak Up project. So now there's an option 3. And what we've created are educational videos aimed at addressing these gaps that we've seen in the education system. So the first video that we have up, and you can try it now, it's called What is Consent? And it's basically talking to you about your rights of what is consent. Because consent is the most important thing when it comes to sexual assault, right? Because sometimes people will be like, no, I think I said yes, or I didn't say no fully,
or I don't remember.
Yes, or like I was a little bit drunk, it was my fault. It isn't that. That's coerced consent, dubious consent, all of that stuff. Consent under the influence is not consent. You cannot consent if you're tipsy. Like, you can't.
You don't know what you're thinking.
Exactly. And we're expanding that, including topics such as STIs, HIV, pregnancy, menstruation. Girls are not being taught about their bodies. And more importantly, men aren't being taught about women's bodies or life and things like that. If I have to learn about a penis or biology, we'll learn about the menstrual cycle. So things like that. So it's addressing the gaps in the educational system. So like I said, a big proponent and a pillar of what Tears does is education. So we've expanded that, so we have all these videos coming up, and it all started with your original question forever ago, is pregnancies and teen pregnancies.
And you see a lot of that as well. And you're speaking about rights and your rights to your body. Do you find that, because I remember when I was growing up, men would be taught that if it's your girlfriend or your wife, she belongs to. and you can do anything you want. Do you find that there's still that belief in men and women? Women also believing that because he married me, because he paid lobola, so then he must just can do anything.
It's no denying that we live in a patriarchal society. We've had a long-standing belief that the rights of men overshadow the rights of women, and that's not going to go away just overnight. So like we work towards changing that mindset, and that all leads back to education, right? And the cycle of abuse. How do we break that cycle? It's about re-educating people, and it's not just re-educating girls. This is not just about saying just to women. Like people have this misunderstanding that gender-based violence is a women's issue, and that kind of puts us in a box, and it says only women can engage. But the thing is, nothing will change if men don't come to the table. So we need men in this space, and we need men to be educated as well. And we need men in order for this to happen. Yeah. Because the thing is, you can tell me all I want that a man shouldn't hit me and my rights regarding that. But if you never tell a little boy that he has to respect the rights of other people, not just women, and understand about consent and understand about rights and understand that, he will still hit people. So it's that. You have to educate everyone.
We all have to be educated.
It's a human rights issue. It's not a women's rights issue.
Yeah, because you find that men are being abused by women as well.
Exactly. And a lot of times that's the other thing, right? We need to educate people about what abuse looks like. Some people will just say, he hit me, that's abuse. But financial abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, people do crazy things. Like if someone wants to know where you are 24/7 and monitors your phone and isolates you from your family, that's a form of abuse. And statistically, women are more likely to perpetrate physical and emotional abuse. She might not hit her husband, but she might degrade him, she might emasculate him, she might make him feel worthless. That's also a form of abuse. But we need to be aware that there's different types. And again, it comes down to education. It comes down to having open conversations like this. Because the truth is, we don't talk about gender-based violence, we don't talk about rape, because it's not nice.
Also, we find that in families as well, maybe an uncle rapes a niece. Yes. And then you find the grandparents, for instance, say, no, we can't speak about this because then our family's name will be...
There's still so much stigma attached to gender-based violence. Forget gender-based violence, take something smaller. There's so much stigma still attached to divorce. Yeah. When couples get divorced, people take sides. What did you do? What did he do? Like, it's just getting divorced has so much stigma attached. Think about the stigma attached to rape, sexual abuse, all of those things. People are scared. We don't talk about it. We've stigmatized it to the point that we see it as something so shameful. And that comes with the ideas of victim blaming and like that you take on so much of yourself when something has happened to you.
And speaking about stigma, how do we break that negative stigma?
It's like my catchphrase for today. It's going to be education. It's having open conversations like this. We need to talk about it. You destigmatize things by removing the shame around it and being open about it. I'm not saying that every survivor needs to wear a red flag or wear a pin in their hair, but we need to create spaces that are safe where someone can come to you. School environments, social workers, things like that. You need parents. Parents need to be able to we've always have sex is a shameful topic, right? You tell your girls, don't have sex until you're married, or you tell your boys, like, I don't want to know about it. Or, like, dads have awkward conversations where they throw a pack of condoms at someone and they're like, we're done now. But the thing is, you need to tell people. You need to tell people that condoms aren't just about pregnancy, it's about STIs. You need to have open conversations with your children with boys about how they should be respecting people, with girls about how they should be respected, actually vice versa, or both ways around. If you, as a parent who is your child's first point of everything in life,
you need to be there.
You need to be that safe space for them. Your child can't feel, if your child is assaulted and because it's related to sex that they're so scared to come to you, you haven't nurtured or fostered a safe enough environment. And that's on all of us. I'm not saying it's a me or a you or a them. It's on all of us. We've never fostered a safe conversation about sex. We've stigmatized sex in its own way.
Like it's a bad thing.
It is a bad thing.
And also, as you were speaking, about rape and we were speaking about pregnancies. I don't know if you would be able to know this, but concerning abortions as well, does it then lead to abortions and then unsafe abortions, like illegal abortions, backdoor abortions, and people get hurt and die? And
So what's really nice about South Africa is we do have progressive abortion laws. It's not illegal to get an abortion in South Africa, but the thing is, everyone has their own personal opinions with that. We're not stepping on toes. Everyone has their own things with that. But you have the right to get an abortion. However, legally there is a window of time. Okay, which is the 12 to 18 weeks, somewhere around there. It's just a little over the first trimester, I think. And the problem becomes that sometimes when you have young girls who are raped, and we spoke about inconsistent periods, you don't know that you're pregnant. And if you don't know that you're pregnant, sometimes you only find out when you start showing, or something really traumatic happens. Sometimes you never show, and then you have horrible cramps and you poop out a baby in the toilet.
Stories.
Yes, and the thing is, we can laugh and joke about it, but it's a reality for a lot of people. Backdoor abortions are a thing, and people are desperate for that. And it's all tied into baby dumping. So the thing with abortions, it's resources, right? Sometimes government clinics don't have the resources to perform abortions. Sometimes in rural areas, you don't have anyone near you. But also there have been cases where nurses or practitioners will turn someone away based on what they believe. So the socioeconomics and the finance of the situation. So the access to resources affects how you live your life. So if you're on medical aid and you have access to private care, you've gotten a pregnancy test, you can go to a private clinician, get your abortion done, and everything is sorted. But if you don't have the money that it takes to have that done, and a government facility cannot cater to that, backdoor abortions are a thing. And the reality of it is we need to create more safer, universal places where people can go and have access to these resources.
And I know I once saw, it's like a home where someone gives birth and they don't want to keep the baby. I think it's called...
There's shelters. There are shelters.
Where you can go and safely give your baby.
So actually in South Africa it's illegal to do that now.
Oh, okay.
So it is illegal. So you can't go to a hospital or a fire station or a police department and safely give up your baby. It is seen as abandonment and it is a criminal act. It's why people have turned to things that we were talking about as baby dumping. And those babies that were found, some of them still have the placenta and the umbilical cord still wrapped around them. They're little. But the thing is, you can't judge a 12-year-old who gave birth. She can't take care of herself. She's come shocked. 9 out of 10, she was probably raped. You can't judge, you can't think, but you can't also say she can't safely give her baby away. So it's a really tough call, and you can't blame someone for taking those chances. The reasons we always discourage backdoor abortions or abortions after the safety limit is because you are putting yourself at risk and you don't know what will happen.
You could die.
Yes, so those are the concerns that we always take. But again, to make the best decision. And we can't judge you on that at all. And we don't.
And when people call in, I know every case is different. When they call in, they're distressed. How do they sound? And how can that affect you as a worker here?
So a big thing for us is containing a situation. So sometimes we are not counselors, and I think that's very important. We have training in that aspect. We've done first aid care. We contain your situation. So if you call me and you are in hysterics and you're crying, what I do is I calm you down. But I tell you, I can't help you if you cannot give me information. So take a breath. I will sit with you. You can cry. I'm not going to say you can't do that. Sit on the phone with me, cry, take your time. Make a cup of tea, I'll make a cup of tea, and we'll sit. Or have a glass of water, do what you need to do. But we work through that. Because sometimes you get horrible cases where something has just happened, or something just might not just have happened and happened 20 years ago, but you finally accepted. And it's really emotional. This is really emotional stuff we're dealing with. You need to give space for them to talk, for them to process, and them to come to you. So we have to be that calming that balance, that rational part that helps you work through that.
Okay.
Because in order for me to best assist you, I know it's difficult, but I need to know what had happened. I need to know if
Where
you know
you
who they
are.
are. I need to know if you reported it, if you want to report it.
Yeah.
I need to know those things, and those are difficult questions. And sometimes asking those questions bring up more trauma
Yeah.
for people, and we know that. But a big thing is that I'm asking you these questions so I can go find all the resources I need to best assist you, so that I can give you a number and say, this is the person you call. They know why you're calling. So we try to reduce that secondhand trauma, because a big part of it is you tell your story to the police, and you tell it to the doctor, and then you have to tell
Over
it to
and
me,
over
and then
again.
and before you even got your counseling bit or your assistance bit, right?
Yeah.
So that's really traumatic as well. So we reduce that on like one shot. Let me get all the information. Let me get what I need, and I will find you the service to assist.
And so moving forward, what's in the future for Tears Foundation?
Tears has a
Up
lot
to-
of plans. So a big thing that we're working on is our Speak Up campaign that I mentioned. So number 3 on our USSD, star 134 star 7355 hash. Yes. Keep saying it so you know
Please,
exactly what I'm
please.
talking about. So Speak Up is our big project. So like I mentioned, we have one video up right now. It's What is Consent? But in the pipeline, very, very soon, we're launching our next like 5 or so videos regarding pregnancy, menstruation, HIV, suicide, depression. So right now we're in that. It's all over our social media. You can see a lot about it. We filmed some beautiful PSAs with lovely girls talking about it, girls and gents talking about it. So that's really nice. So that's the big project that we're working on. There are some stuff in the pipelines that we're working towards. Some beautiful initiatives with like the Department of Education and also the travel agencies. So it's like about like safety when you're a tourist and stuff like that. So it's all in the works. But right now, a big focus is on Speak Up and that education.
And so where can we get you on social media?
We are everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but the best place to start is our website. So if you just go to www.tears.co.za, all of our things are there. It's a link to our store finder, it's our USSD information. They're just general information. But if Facebook's your game, we're there, Tears Foundation. We're even on LinkedIn. You can find us anywhere. We respond to all of it. If it's easier, you can just pop us an email. It's info@tears.co.za. All of that is monitored. We'll get back to you. Really, our turnover is very quick.
Like you said, you're 24-hour
Yes,
service.
we're 24-hour service.
So anytime we can
Yes,
get you.
anytime you can get us.
Give us that number again.
Okay, so we do have our 24-hour like telephone line. It's 010-590-5920. That's available 24 hours a day. You call us, we answer, we'll assist you. If you need emergency services like the 911 thing we were talking about, that's star 134 star 7355 hash with all 3 options. So just resources in your area, emergency services, and now it's Speak Up.
Anytime.
Anytime.
Any
It's available.
day.
Yeah, all our services 24/7.
Excellent. Thank you for your work that you do.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for helping us. Thank you for assisting us.
Thank you.
We thank you that you're always there for us and you care.
No, I think a big thing is that we do this for want to care and want to help more than anything else. So.
And we appreciate it.
Thank you.
So long live Tears Foundation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.